So I've had 6 massive psychotic episodes with bipolar. So they're mania, schizoaffective, very close to schizophrenia. I just don't have the stream of audio hallucinations, which is, I mean, sometimes that can be the only differentiating factor between bipolar psychosis, schizoaffective psychosis, and schizophrenia. I have hallucinations of smell, and I have hallucinations of visual hallucinations. The first episode was kind of a whole month-long ordeal. I had no previous knowledge about mental health at all, besides knowing that I took care of my depression and did talk therapy. I mean, I think we all know what kind of depression is, and we all know that if it's bad, that sucks. But psychosis is something that you have no frame of reference until the first time that you have psychosis. And then your whole frame of reference changes. Because it's almost impossible for this first psychosis to actually kind of like maintain, just to maintain. After that first psychosis though, I was like, okay, I had these features. Great. So when I went into my second psychosis, I was actually, well, I already kind of know the things that are going to happen. Then I actually had new hallucinations that were like, 10, 100 times worse. I was like, oh, I can't deal with that. So that was very groundbreaking and kind of sucky. I realized like, oh, I thought like I was going to have the same hallucinations, and then I have like different hallucinations. Even just having a different hallucination, even if it's like the same magnitude, too much for me to handle. I didn't have any hallucination of smell until the third episode. The third episode was real bad because I actually got myself into a kind of a tricky situation. I was in Baltimore, Maryland. I flew out there to help someone. I will definitely share that story, but I mean, it wasn't even pretty from the get-go. It was, if I wasn't psychotic, I would have, done some work out there, drove a moving truck all the way back to Seattle, Washington. I mean, that's a feat in itself. But I became incredibly psychotic in a manic episode out there and trusted almost nothing. I lost, the psychosis caused such a deep paranoia that it's hard to trust anything about reality. And especially if you have new psychosis, like hallucinations of smell, because it was in that environment, it was too easy to realize, oh yeah, my food is being poisoned. All the food at the grocery store, I would smell it over in the produce more than I would in packages. So it's like, oh, I must eat all food from packages. And then I'm like, I'm only drinking bottled water. And then when I went to go to the bottled water aisle, there was one of the bottled waters that was like leaking. It was like drip, drip, drip. And when you're in psychosis, for me, the only thing I could think of was like, shit. They already got to the water. They already poisoned it. So I tried to find the one that was like 3 back. So maybe they didn't get to that one. It's a wreck. And that's fine. It's fine that it's fine to have psychosis. It's just if you've lost your frame of reference. But anyway, it can be very difficult to build a frame of reference. That's all I'm saying. Every new episode was like potentially equally challenging as the last. Yeah, and this 6th episode was, it was interesting. I actually employed all my strategies, and I was able to recover from that episode in 4 days. After I lost 6 days of sleep. 6 days of sleep. Yeah, you're just in that state. You're gone. Totally psychotic. But I was able to function, and that was good skill. Did I do everything right? No. I was on a river trip with couple friends / acquaintances, and then tons of random people that I've never met before ever. So you have that. Did I embarrass myself? Sure. In a sense that no one wants to see your nightmares. No one wants to see your bad dreams. And it's like if you're dreaming inside out, then people see it, and it changes things because it changes relationships. I'm fine with losing friends that don't get it, and you can't be 100% perfect. In those I try to be, it's just difficult. You can do some things that embarrass yourself. But at the end of the day, I think people understand, as long as they weren't, hurt. Understand that that's, something that potentially they wouldn't be able to deal with themselves. even though I had some very low spots of like, ugh, I can do better. Yeah, I was able to recover out of that very quickly. So I recovered from that episode, and then spent a month getting my circadian rhythms down. After that month, I ran the Grand Canyon with a 10-foot raft by myself, a trip that I had planned all along. For me, that put the fire underneath me as a learning experience of, hey, I got this, I can get my mind back on a sleep schedule. It doesn't make me go into psychosis. So in this regard, yes, bipolar is a sleep disorder, meaning that if you can get sleep, you can be symptom free, as a general statement. And I just have to stress that you will fail. You will fail with mental illness. You're not going to meet your own expectations. That's why you should be lowering your expectations in a healthy way. You need to lower your expectations because other people won't. Other people aren't going to lower theirs. That's where it can be the biggest struggle when you're dealing with friends, family, is that they haven't lowered their expectations.